Howdy all, FlightSimDev here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can combine many INF files, those files that primarily have been downloaded by, say, Ortho4XP. As you know, it downloads one image and creates one INI file or INF file for that image, whether it be one with a blend or one without a blend. Now, for this particular video, this will be without blends, okay, because there's no water involved in these, unless you want to add water in later and then you can modify it later. What you can see on screen are all the BGL files and then all the INF files that are associated with those BMP files. What we're going to do is combine them all because we don't want to, we could just drop each one of these files onto Resample and it'll create a BGL file. But we don't want that. We want every BGL file here to be in, every BMP file here to be in one BGL file. So we can use it within P3D or Flight Simulator or FlightSim 10, you know. So what we need to do is we write a new, we're just going to run a little batch file, right? So we just, new text document. I've got extensions turned on. I don't know how it works without extensions because I like to see what extension I've got on files. You might need to just go up to your view settings and turn extensions on. So you just get rid of your extension and you change that to CMD. You can use BAT, but I use CMD on Windows 10. And yes, it is Windows 10, although it looks like Windows 7. And then you might want to rename that to something else. Let's call that, for this video, YouTube. And we'll call it YouTube CMD. Right click on it, either edit with Notepad, you can just hit edit if you want to. I'll just use edit on this first part. You don't need this, but it's good to have it. It makes it look all nice and neat. You want echo off on the first line. You want what it wants, what the line that you're actually writing is what you want to do. So I want to select all the INF files. So sorry, you've got to hit a copy in front of this. Start.inf, and then you give it a name. So in this case, we'll call it YouTube.inf, and I usually put it in quotes like that, or you don't need to put it in quotes. So copy that to that. Make sure there's a gap in there, otherwise it won't work. Generally, you don't need them, but you can have quotes around what you want to create, like that. And then if you want to see if it worked, you just have a pause in here as well. So that's all you need. You close that, save it, or save it and close it. Either way. And then you run it. And you can see all the files are there that it's put into it. Echo is on. Echo basically means it gets rid of the C:\/ at the front. And it's paused and it's created one file. So that's correct. Just hit enter, it vanishes. And there's the file. So now we've got all of our INF files in one file. But we can't use it like this. Resample won't use it like this because we have no source files here and the destination file is after each one. So I have a little program that I found on the web, and I'll put some links in the description below of where you can get these programs from. My recommendation on text editors would be Notepad++. I've used it for years now. Absolutely recommend the program. It is just fantastic what it can do. Now, the other program that I'm talking about here, if I go down to my games drive, I've got a little program called Tinytask. Now, it is very limited in what it can do because it does tiny tasks. Don't do any, it's just a macro recorder. And I want it just to record keyboard inputs and mouse inputs. I'm not interested in scroll wheel. So let's go back to our file. Now, the first thing we want to get rid of is destination. We don't want destination after every source image. So we want to get rid of that. The first one I usually do by myself. So I will hit delete to that one. Okay. And you open up a find box. And in here you put destination. Now it's probably easier if you just copy and paste, that way you won't make spelling mistakes. and make sure your cursor is all the way to the top, and then put in destination. Now, I don't know how many there are, so I want to count up how many destinations there are. And it tells me that there's 47 matches. We are still scrolled to the top. We want to keep the last match, so we only want to look for destination 46 times. So that's where this macro recorder comes in. You put the setting in here of repeat count of 46, because we want to keep the last one. We've already removed one, so now we're back to 45. Okay, oh no, that's 46 with that one removed. Okay, so don't worry about that. I'll ask for the count again. It's still 47. So yes, the repeat count is 46. Okay. Then what we do is, it's a simple matter of finding destination. You hit find, and there's where the box comes up. And this is where you do your recording. And this is how I do the recording to be more accurate. You hit record, you select there, hold the shift key, and then select there, and then hit delete. Then hit the find key. It goes back to the same position, and then you stop it. Now, we did it the first time. We know we have 46. We've done the first one. That brings it back to 45. Okay? So now we're ready to go for 45 times. So you let it go. Now, I've set this to do it fast. Well, actually, it could be on normal speed. But you can set it faster. And if you've got another macro recorder, you can do that as well. So that's the first thing you do. You get rid of this destination file. And you can see the scroll bars going down there. So I'll shut up and I'll just let you watch the magic happen. Right, now the last one, as you can see, it did an error on the last one. So you just hit undo on the last one. And there you go, it brings in that. Okay. This sub at the end, it's only something that happens when you combine files. Just remove that. Compression quality, well, it's an airport. I like to use at least 85% or sometimes go to 90 if your image is not as crisp. Give it a name for the destination, where you want the destination to go. In this particular one, it's Ambly. So I'll just call it Ambly 2020 _ 2020. Try not to have gaps if you can. If I spell it right, that might be good. So Ambly 2020, and we'll call this photo real. You could just use PR, you could use any name you like. So that's the name that I'm getting this to compile. But it still won't compile at this point. So we bring that back to the top. Because you can see it just says source. Oh, there's one destination we missed. So we will just do that manually. And it pays to go through it. Now the reason we did it this way is so every single one is the same all the way down. Okay, obviously I didn't have that scroll to the top when I started the file. The next thing you want to do is you want to get these in the right numbering order. Well, you can also use Tinytask for that, and I'll show you how. The first 10 you do yourself. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I don't need to count, but it's good to count to yourself so you know. So you've got 0, okay? You'll want to look for this source. So now we're putting the source into the find up here. Source. You can see that's the first one, is it? Yes, it is. Now, the first two, you can see that's out slightly, so let's go back up again. So hit find again. So that's going to be 0 and 1, okay? And if you start on 0 and 1, you've got to end on 0 and 1. Actually, that'll be 1 and 2, okay? Do that again. We bring it right up the top so we get it back to where we need it. So that's 1 and 2, okay? So whatever you start with, you have to finish with. So you hit record and you select 1, 2, find next, 3, 4, find next, 5, 6, find next, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 9 and 0 actually, and you still hit find next, and then you stop that. Okay, so now we're set for 1 and 2 again. Now, there's not many, there's only, as you know, 46 images, and we've done this 10 times, so you only really need to do it twice and you should be right. So I'm just going to set this repeat count to once and I'll do it manually twice. So you just hit play and it does it for you, and you can see you're going to save a lot of time doing this. And the reason you're doing this is the last characters will always be 1 to 0, and then you'll have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 for 10, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 for 20, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm just going to run this again, because it starts in the same place, you see. It always starts in the same place. And there we go again. I'm going to run it again. Normally you would have this set to do it all for you. So you can see that's finished, but it's doing errors, right? Just let it go. It's a bit hard to stop it when it's going fast like that. So just go backwards until it reduces, removes the last 2, and then put the last 2 back in. Right, that's that done. Now, we know the first 10 are going to be single digits. So we start at source 0. And we copy this line here and put this into here. So we're basically getting rid of the square at the end. Go up the top here. You go find, right? It finds that one. And then you want to get it to that one. Now that's 10. So Tinytask, you do the first 2 and Tinytask does the next 4. Okay? So you set Tinytask to 4 times. And then you're recording the first 2 only. So you're recording 1, 1, find, stop, play, and it does the one for you 4 times. Right? And now we're up to 2. So now you're recording 2, 2, find, stop, play. And you can see how this is going to actually save you a lot of time. Macro recorders do a lot of time saving. So now we've got 3. Find again. Make sure you always hit find, otherwise you're repeating yourself. And you also got to make sure with the macro recorder that you're only setting it to do it 4 times because you're doing the first 2. So the next one we've got is 40. And you'll get a knack after a while. You will get a knack. This is going to make a mistake down the bottom. I'm not worried about that. And then you go back until the 48 disappears. So the 48 disappear, go back 1 forward, and you know that's right. So we've got 48 files. Now you drag this all the way back to now everything's numbered. It's numbered. Oh, we're back at the bottom again. So you go back to the top. You don't need the find box anymore. You don't need Tinytask anymore. Now we need to tell it that it's got multiple sources. So up the top, we're going to have source. Sorry, in brackets. So it's got to be these square brackets. So you have source, right? And then it's number of sources. Now type. Now it's got to be type equals multi-source. That tells. I spelled it right. So type equals multi-source, and then underneath that is how many sources. So number of sources equals 48. Equals 48. Sorry, 48. 48. Okay. So that basically tells us the number of the sources and what type of data it is. And you can see all the numbers are there. Down to 8 goes 9, and then it goes 10, and it's all the way down the bottom. Now I like to use resample from a script, because if something is wrong, and I'm sure we've all gone to that position before, but if something is wrong, it'll tend to flash a little bit and then disappear. And you'll be going, oh no, now I'm going to look for an error. Well, if you run it from a script, you won't need to worry about that error because the script will tell you the error. So let's close and save that, because now that's been done. go back to our directory, which is in here, and then AML. Okay, so there's the directory. Mapbox19 is the image that I'm using, and our file is down the bottom somewhere. So there's our YouTube file there that we just created. Okay, number of sources 48. Now the path in here could be different. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check the path and make sure that path is correct. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this path underneath this one, and I just want to see if the path is correct. So it's D ortho, and you can see that path and that path is different because one says Ambly and one doesn't. So you want to make sure that path is correct, and I'll show you how we can fix that. So you want to change this path to this path. You see I've got Ambly in there, and that's because I've moved all the images into one directory. And if you've got blends, you would put the blends in here as well, rather than having them in so many different directories. I like to have them all in the one directory. That way I can see if that one's got a blend or that one hasn't got a blend. So once you've got them all in the same directory, you then do your combining, of course. And now I want to change this path. And you can see that path and that path is different. But I want the path the same on all of them. This is where you've got Tinytask again, and Tinytask can do this work for you very simply. That's always going to be on top. I'll minimize this. Now, get your find up again. And there you're going to be looking for this, that source directory. Copy that into here, into there, okay? And that's now copied into there, which we don't have to worry about. And then that's the path that we've got, and then you copy that. The first two are going to have the changes. The one that you'll be looking for is this one. So you copy the whole lot, copy that, and put that into the find box, and then go all the way back to the top again. Make sure your cursor's way up here. The reason for that is you want it to be roughly in the middle. So you then search for this. First I will do is to copy this, because now copy and paste is going to be involved. Hit find, and you can see the first one goes into the middle, and that's going to be very important to us. So with Tinytask, we know there are 46. Actually, there's 47. List the two that we've done, takes it back to 45 again, okay? But I'm going to go to 44 because the last one I'll do myself. So you set this to 44. 44? It might be 100 in your case. And then you hit the record. Now, this is all you do. You select that, space, that, hit Control V because it's already in there, and then hit find. And you can see the next one is there, and you stop. So now this will do everything for you. Okay, so you can see the new one has got Ambly in the word, and we're up to 10 now. And it has to do it 44 times. So I really wanted to do the last one myself, but because I'm showing the video and I showed you how to do it the first time, it's actually going to do all of them for us. Now, just imagine if you had to do this by hand. After a while, it becomes second nature. I've done a certain amount of these INF files that have been 200 long, and it's taken an hour to do it. That's how quick I can get it down to now. They become rather big BGL files if you're using 90% compression. But if you're just doing surrounding areas that are, say, zoom level in ortho, zoom level, say, 15 or 14, then you only need a compression ratio of about 80–85%, and the file will be quite small. So you can see it didn't, this is the destination, it's done it all for us, Ambly, that is the directory, that's the one that hasn't been changed yet. So it did stop on the last one, which is good. You then copy the last one down to there. Okay, now that's basically finished. The only thing I like to do is I like to get in there and I'd like to do the boundaries and get rid of the square edges that you get from Ortho4XP, and I like to blend that a little bit more and then color match it, things like that. But we don't need to do that for this video. Okay, that's going to be the name. It's going to take a while to compile because, yes, it's 45 images and each image is nearly 50 megabytes in size. So you're going to have a large file, and 90% if you use the compression ratio of 90%, it's not 90% compressed, it's only 10% compressed and 90% uncompressed. But there will be certain areas in there that will have different compression ratios, and I'll show you how that's done in a moment. So get rid of Tinytask, close the window, close this and save it, or save and close it. So that's, you've got that there, okay? So your files in here, in this directory, in your main directory, usually in that directory, but I've moved it to the Anderley directory. Here it is here in Mapbox 19 in this case. Mapbox not working at the moment. And there's my master. I can put the master anywhere I like. So I'm going to put the master in my main directory, in this one here, and just put it in there, paste. So here we go, YouTube. Now I'm going to make a little batch file, just out of a text file, and I'm going to call this YouTube again. YouTube. And we're going to call this I'll call this Resample as well. Resample.cmd, and get rid of the text at the end. And there you have it. Yes, I want to save that as well. So where did it go? Up the top. Resample. So in here, we're going to run the Resample Script. So we're just going to go into Edit. I'll just move this over so I can see the files. In here, again, you have your echo off. Just makes things look a bit better. So you have echo off. Then you have to give it the resample command. So there's the one I've got, FX2, which means service pack 2. So you can just copy that if you want to. Copy. And then paste it into here. Give it a bit of a gap. Paste it into there. Resample. YouTube. YouTube, and I'll spell that right, YouTube underscore resample.inf. That's it. And then you hit a pause underneath that. So, resample command, you don't have to put run or anything in like that in front, just resample, YouTube.resample.inf. That's it. It'll run from this window. Leave this window open because it's important. Close that and save it, or save and close it. And then run that. YouTube resample not found. Because I didn't call it YouTube resample. So that's okay. Resample. But see, that file tells you that you haven't got the name correct. So you run it again. And there we go, it's running. Now we've got 48, so it should get down to 48. And we've done everything right because there's no typos, because Tinytask does not do a typo. You could do a typo, and this tells you how long that's going to last, how big the file is going to be, everything like that. The first time resample runs, it will be slow. Okay, it'll tell you some false numbers. So here we go. At 90% compression, it's going to take 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. If I close that now, it will make a file that you can't use. But that's all right, you run it again. Second time round's always quicker. Why? I do not know. It just is. So I'm just going to let that compile. I'll shut up for now, and I'll come back when that has been compiled, and I'll show you what it looks like. Won't be a sec. Rightio, so that's almost going to be completed. I thought I'd start the video just when it completes it. And there it is, done. Now this is why I like to have it from either a command file or a batch file, because it tells you it completed 100% of the time. It did 11,056 cells of 11,056 cells. Sometimes it might not do that right and bomb out at that point. Then you'll have to see what you can do with your BGL file. You can tell it took 5 minutes and 49 seconds to complete, and it used LZ1 compression of one block at 62.1 to 1. Then it used a delta and LZ1 compression of 16 blocks at 68 to 1, And it just gives you that information. You can see not all blocks are compressed at the same amount. It really depends what's in the image. If the image is mostly trees, so it's all just going to be blank and just trees, then it's not going to need a very high compression ratio for that. So it'll do something like this. So there's 11,056 images at 7.4 compression. Right, resample completed. Just hit enter, it will vanish, and there you have it. And here's the file. I've got mine set to open up my viewer of photoreal, and you can see 48 files of 49 megabytes. Each file is less than the total once it's compressed. And if you double click it, that's the area in question, which in this case is ambly. Now, I haven't done any blending, color matching, or anything like that. That's just the raw file taken from Ortho4XP. Not a very good quality one. It is up to date because, well, if you have a look at Google, you go into Google Earth and you have a look at this, it's still under construction. This, you can quite clearly see where everything is. It has got, up here, we've got 2 extra shades now, so there's no parking there for the bigger birds. And then over here, we've got parking now for where the big aircraft are, like the 737 Poseidons and the C-17s and so on. So you can see there's a few more buildings being built in here. This is the wash area here. That's been completed. The new tower is now over here and in place. You can see the quality is not 100% at 90% quality. It's not going to get better at 100% either, and you can't go over 100%. Obviously, 100% is the maximum. But it is up to date. You know what everything looks like. It is reasonably up to date using Ortho4XP. And there you have it. That's how you can combine all your Ortho BGLs, sorry, not BGLs, all your BMP files from a directory. And 18 is the surrounding area. 18 is a much larger surrounding area, but I stopped this before it finished, so I didn't get the entire area because I'm only interested in the airport itself. So if you found this video informative, if you need me to do another video, I'm planning on doing another video shortly, which goes into how Ortho4XP, how I've got it set up. Mine is a little bit different. I'll put links in the description below for Tinytask and Notepad Notepad++. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and please give me that thumbs up. Always helps. And I'll catch you in the next video. Anyway, cheers for now. FlightSimDev signing off. Have a great day, weekend, wherever you are in the world. Cheers.